there's a real knowing that I can do anything I put my mind to, and that God will be right there with me, and that my ancestors will be right there with me. It's not, I think that they'll show up.
No,
it's
I know.
Like, no.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's like a deep surrender.
Yeah.
But you're not just surrendering to this void. You're actually surrendering to the presence, and you're surrendering to all the help that's around you, and it's real. Peace and riches blessings. I am Michael B. Beckwith, the host of Take Back Your Mind. Peace and riches blessings, everyone, and welcome to Take Back Your Mind. I am your host, Michael B. Beckwith, the founder of the Agape International Spiritual Center. And you know, for those of you who have been coming back on a weekly basis, thank you for doing that. I get to talk to wonderful people every week, individuals who've shattering different paradigms, extending themselves, becoming more themselves, and inspiring people, taking back their own mind and opening their own heart. And I get to be with Diarra Kilpatrick today. Hey.
Hey, Rev.
Come on now.
What's good?
This is her.
I've been trying to hold it together, but this is like such a huge moment for me, because I feel like I was just walking through the doors of Agape being like, oh, dear God, please help me.
Right.
And I'm like, it's just one of those moments where you're like, whoa, you've made some progress. Like, you have to like.
You've made a lot of progress.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like changing a lot of lives, bringing a lot of inspiration, a lot of joy. Let me tell these people who you are.
Okay.
In case they don't know. Listen, Diarra Kilpatrick, Emmy-nominated actress, writer, producer. She created and stars in the hit mystery dramedy. It is a dramedy, too. I've watched it 2 or 3 times. It's called Diarra From Detroit, and that's her name, which is currently streaming on BET. The first season landed rave reviews, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. She also created and starred in American Koko, an ABC digital original series, executive produced by Viola Davis. She appeared on a regular series on HBO, Perry Mason, which in her character was Clara Drake. I went back and watched that because I couldn't get enough of her on Diarra From Detroit. Other favorite acting credits include Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone. I saw all these, Leela and Eve opposite Viola Davis and Jennifer Lopez. The Last OG, where she also has a writing credit. She's also worked on the writing staff for Showtime's I'm Dying Up Here and others. Her first love is theater. Her one-woman show, I want to talk about this too. The Devil is Beating His Wife was nominated for an NAACP Theater Award for Best Playwright, and other accolades for her work in the Los Angeles Theater include LA Weekly NAACP Theater Award for Best Leading Actress in Drama, 2 Ovation Awards nominations, and 5, you've done a lot, 5 NAACP Theater Award nods. We know each other. Yeah. She's also a magnificent student of metaphysics, spirituality. She's a retreat veteran, meditation retreat veteran, member of Agape. She's just a cool being. Hey, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So this is like a, what kind of moment did you say it was?
Well, it just feels like it's not full circle, but it's like it's a moment for me to stop and breathe and sort of go, D, you're making progress.
Yeah.
Like, you've done some things. You said you wanted to do some things. You've been stuck. You've surrendered and surrendered and surrendered forward, and you've made some progress.
Right.
Yeah.
You're just almost a household name now, and
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and we talk about you a lot. You know, people who haven't seen your series, it's like they got to see it. You know, because it's very creative. I remember at a retreat you were telling me about. You had some ideas about it, and you were trying to explain it to me.
Yeah, we were about to start the writer's room.
Yeah.
And I said, I have this great idea. And you didn't tell me till later that you thought, ooh, I don't know if that's going to work.
Well, I said, I was trying to understand it. It seemed so creative because at the time it seemed like disjointed, but you had it all together in your awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about it and the inspiration that came.
Yes.
And you kept your name
Yeah.
in the series.
Yeah.
That was powerful too.
Yeah. So Diarra from Detroit, I play a school teacher who is going through a divorce. She's having a tough time. And she meets a guy kind of on the rebound, a Tinder date. They have an amazing connection, great sex. She's like, this is really going places. And then he ghosts her.
Right.
And she's like, no, it can't be me. Like,
right.
It can't be me. And so she goes looking for him. And she discovers that he might be at the center of a cold case.
Right.
That now she has to solve.
Right.
So she kind of gets her Jessica Fletcher on and works her way through the underground of Detroit to figure it out.
Now, when you first told me that,
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to put it, this guy ghosted her, and now you're going to, I mean, I got it.
Yeah. Did you know what ghosting was?
Oh, yeah, I know what ghosting
okay.
was. Yeah. Come on now.
No, it was a new thing. It's kind of unthinkable, the act, really, to have a great time with someone and then just never talk to them again.
Never see them again.
Yeah.
No, but I remember when you first told me that, I was going to see how you were going to string that out into a series, but you did it.
Mm-hmm.
It's magnificent.
I should have said it's an origin story for a private investigator. That would have probably helped.
So season 2, you're working on that now.
Season 2, we're working on it now.
Does she now become more like a detective kind of person?
She is taking on a new case.
Mm-hmm.
There are some things that have followed her from that first case, of course. But yeah, she's taking on a whole new venture.
Mm-hmm. And another case.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Can't wait. Now, obviously you have a spiritual practice.
Yes.
And so you had to use certain skills and practices to go through this, because putting together your own show, you're starring in it, you're writing in it, you're doing, you're birthing it.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously there's some setbacks, there's some things you didn't plan, personalities, there's all kinds of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so how did your practice assist you in getting through this?
I mean, the first thing was I had just become a mom. I was a new mom.
Right.
And my doula actually said to me, now that you know how to birth, you know how to birth.
Oh, okay.
So that all the spiritual things that we did were really helpful in the birthing of a creative baby as well. But, all the things, it's like, I definitely believe that I tap into sort of source, spirit, their ideas that come to me, and then I'm obedient to them.
Right.
So I'm obedient to my mission statement as an artist, and then I'm obedient to the idea itself. And so that kind of clears up a lot of confusion a lot of the time.
Right.
A lot of times things go wrong and you're like, oh, I don't want to let go of this person, or I don't want to do this thing. But you kind of have to be a good mom and to be obedient to the idea. And the other thing is, I'm a huge meditator. Mm-hmm. The meditation, the affirmations, the prayer work, the breath work, and really just, I think when I first began, like, coming to Agape, it was all about, I want to do this thing. Mm-hmm. And it became more about who you have to become in order for the thing to be birthed through you and for the moment to present itself, for all the things come into place. And so I just try to return to that and move from that place.
You're actually giving birth to yourself.
Yes.
Is what's
the next version. Yeah.
Right. What major change has happened in you, or minor?
Rev.
I mean, the person that started the project, the person that had the idea, and this person today, how has this idea changed you? You meditated, you affirmed, you had to write, you had to go into the writer's room, so much.
I think, right.
And you gave birth to a baby boy.
I gave birth to a baby boy. I think there's the changes that happened sort of when I first walked into Agape to get to the point to even get the opportunity. But from when we started to who I am now, just in those 2 years, wow. Yeah. I'm way scrappier.
Oh,
I'm way grittier. Like, I feel like,
I like this.
It's so, I think so often you think I'm going to get this thing and it's going to be magical because I prayed and I meditated and it's flown into my experience. Right. It's flowed into my experience and it's going to be all flowers.
Right.
And it's not. You know, it's like when you get down to the hard stuff, there's just like a grit. There's a true grit.
Yes.
That is up under me right now.
Yeah. And so what qualities would you give that grit? I like scrappy, but but what else? Is it? It's, I mean, you're tough.
It's warrior energy.
Okay, yeah, okay.
You know, that it's like spiritual warrior, spiritual gangster energy. Yeah. I remember on the set, which is Diarra's house, is imbued with so many of my ancestors, my mom and a lot of the women who raised me. And I can remember going into deep meditation, visualization, connecting with them as they were going to buoy me through this thing. Because I came to it like, oh, this is maybe the first time where I thought like, I don't know if I'm going to get through to the end. It was a lot of work.
Yes.
And they were like, we got you. And the pictures on the set in that house, if you look closely, that's my mom. You know,
I knew your mom before you.
Yeah. Did you? Before me?
Before I knew you?
Oh, yes. Before you knew me.
Yeah.
I thought you meant before she had me.
No,
I was
no.
wow.
No.
But yeah, so I think there's a real knowing that I can do anything I put my mind to, and that God will be right there with me, and that my ancestors will be right there with me. It's not I think that they'll show up.
No,
it's
I know.
Like, no.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's like a deep surrender.
Yeah.
But you're not just surrendering to this void. You're actually surrendering to the presence, and you're surrendering to all the help that's around you, and it's real. And a lot of people don't understand that. I mean, I've been doing Agape 38 years now, and it's not, like you say, it's not all roses.
Right.
It's all kinds of stuff that goes on behind the scene and this and that, you know. But my knowing of the presence, I already know it's going to work out. Even though I have to say, okay, how is this going to work out? I know it's going to work out because it's not my idea. It's God's idea.
Right.
And I'm the servant. I'm saying yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So all of this moved through you as you're putting together this series. So okay, you writing?
Yes.
You directed too, right?
No.
You produced. You
created, and
you're in it. So what is that experience like? Because you had all these hats.
That part is the fun part. That part is the fun part because, you know, growing up in Detroit, doing performances for my stuffed animals, that's what I was doing.
As a kid?
Yeah, I was show running. You know, I wrote the thing, I came up with it, I took this poem and put this song together and performed it for my mom. I've been, they say I'm not new to this, I'm true to this. Yeah. So that, I think what you don't prepare for when you're in your room are the personalities, are the challenges, are the what they don't teach you in theater school is that now you're running a business. Someone's giving you millions and millions of dollars, and they're nervous too, you know? So it's managing up, managing down, managing left and right. And I think those were the things that—
the business of the show.
Yeah, the business of the show that you aren't necessarily prepared for, you know, when you're doing The Wiz in the 4th grade or whatever. Yeah.
I know. Because a lot of times, a lot of different teachers will come up to me and they want to do what I'm doing. Yeah. And I would say, well, you have to be called into this because there's so much more than somebody getting up and speaking. There's a whole way of living behind it that allows you to do what you do. And if you're not prepared to do that kind of way of life, then don't jump into this. It's, that's, you know, most teachers don't even make it past 5 years. You know, it's too much. It's too much.
Yeah, and I have seen that too, you know, doing a lot of workshops and classes and stuff at Agape and how, I don't know if you agree with it, but it's almost like your community property. And people really...
Yeah, I know.
You know,
they own me. They in their minds.
Yeah.
I mean, I belong to God.
But somebody else has to go, he got to go home.
Right.
Y'all got to go get in y'all car and go. You know, it's interesting, right? It's like, your life is not your own.
No, the last 40-something years. Yeah. But because I love people and I love God and I love what I do, it's no burden to it. I just have to make sure I get enough rest.
But then when you get home, do you go like, oh, I should have left 5 extra questions ago? I am more tired, or because there's a certain degree of a flight that happens when you're in your zone?
I think that people around me say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have left. Or my family members.
Sure.
okay,
Yeah.
it's time for us now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but fortunately they ride with me. Now, listen, Mosaic Youth Theater.
Yeah.
To creating and starring in your own shows. How has your early exposure to theater shaped this?
I mean, it's everything. I think that is the first time I had a real experience of God. Being young was watching theater, watching people sing. You know, you can't really articulate it, but it's like, she's over there singing and I'm crying over here. There must be some sort of connection between us that's really powerful. So my mother, she was very intentional about just steeping me in the arts. So we saw a lot of theater, a lot of jazz shows. You know, I've been that little girl in a jazz bar with a Shirley Temple many a nights. You know, I was her.
She knew your destiny.
I was her companion. Yeah, and she did, I think. And I kind of skipped over some of what you asked me about the inspiration for the show. I think the combination of my mother and my grandmother, they were such opposite people, but my granny was super sedentary, always at home watching television. And so I would be pressed up against her while she watched Perry Mason, Murder, She Wrote, Columbo, all those shows.
That influenced you.
That's in part where the show was inspired by. And watching those shows with my grandmother, it created a new genre for me. Because those are very white shows. Yeah. But my granny was as black as you could get, right? So we're watching the show and she's like, look at this hussy right here. She about to walk right to the crime. You know what I mean? So those two things kind of solidified in my mind, like where are the mysteries that are led by Black women or that have the Black women's commentaries sort of throughout them. So that was part of the inspiration. And then my mother was on the opposite end of the spectrum where she was a lover of the arts and she was at every jazz festival. She was at every art opening. She was at every Alvin Ailey performance. Yeah, she was gorgeous. Yeah. And, you know, kind of that product of the Motown era in Detroit, you know, that sort of shoulders back, head high, you know. Dignity, you know. And so I think the two of them together is sort of what influenced like my style as an artist.
That's beautiful. When did you come to LA?
What, 2008, 2007?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. And then your mother brought you to Agape?
My mother started sending me your sermons when I was at NYU. Oh. And it was so funny. It's like that, you know, teach your kids while they're young and they would never stray from it or whatever, because I was in New York, going out to clubs, hungover, would open up a care package from my mother and see your face. And so, you know, at 19, 20, 21, you know what I did with that? Oh,
you didn't listen to it. Yeah.
What else is in here? And then, did you also send food and money? What is this?
What's this tape?
You know, I said, nice looking guy, but wrong audience, wrong time, read the room. So it wasn't until later, you know, that period between school and real life where you really go, what am I doing? Who am I? What? And then somewhere...
You found the tape.
Somewhere I had some tapes and CDs, and she would send me Intervisions and all kinds of things. So, you know, she probably sent me 40-Day Mind Fast, Soul Feed, you know, all that stuff I had when I was ready to absorb it.
And what motivated you to go to your first meditation retreat? Because you were
probably the pushed by pain until pulled by vision. I think I wanted to act. I made American Koko, the series you mentioned that Viola produced. And the first thing that happened was I got a lot of writing gigs from it. And I am most fulfilled sort of doing both. Just writing something, it feels like there's like a stillbirth or something. And so I wasn't very happy. Even though I was starting to make money for the first time, I was like, I want to perform a little bit more. And I had stopped doing all the theater, which was fulfilling to my soul, but I didn't have health insurance. And I had started moving into TV. And so I remember, I believe that first meditation retreat was on the break from writing Mysteries of Laura.
Yeah. But you had a lot of energy at that retreat.
That retreat changed my life.
I mean,
that
you
first
had
one.
your questions and your interaction. It was you were like present.
Yeah.
You were like, it's hard to explain, but your being was very present there. Yeah.
Well, I'm a language person. I love language. And there's something about the way you communicate it that really resonated with me. And so I believed you. I have like a skeptical nature.
Yeah, that's good.
And I've been, a lot of church or spiritual things, I'm always like, I don't know if I'm buying this story.
Right.
And so I believed you. And so I was really interested in feeling better, feeling fulfilled, making the most of my incarnation. I was really, really ready for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. The devil is beating his wife. You got awards for that too. Did you write that? Tell us about that.
I wrote a one-woman show. I was in college, actually. That play is really a part of the love story of me and my husband. We were on a date.
Okay.
And I said, I wrote this one-woman show that I have to perform. And for some reason, it was another reason where I trusted him. He said, let me see it. And I hadn't shown anybody any pages. I hadn't shown anybody what I was working on. And we went up in the rehearsal hall and I showed it to him. And he immediately started going, that's good. Maybe you should move to center stage when you say this line. Or maybe you should.
Was he in the business?
He was at NYU studying theater as well.
Very good.
Yeah. And so that was kind of the first time I went, ooh, I like this guy. But yeah, it was a one-woman show I wrote at NYU. And then when I first got out to LA, I put it back up on its feet and performed it. And it was also, interestingly enough, inspired by my mom and my grandmother.
Really?
And about these 3 generations of women in Detroit.
So
and
the title.
The Devil is Beating His Wife. You know what that is?
That's from when it's storming.
When it's raining.
Yeah, I remember my mother used to say that.
And the sun is out.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things that I always wondered, what's the big story behind it?
Yeah.
And nobody could tell me.
Yeah.
I'm like, is it in the Bible? Is it a fable? What? And everyone was like, I don't know. We just been saying it forever.
Right.
And that's sort of what the play was about, was the thing that we packed up and took in our suitcases with us, and they show up in our mouths and we don't even notice. And so it was just about the lineage of experience and language and just everything that we pass down. And then if you don't examine it, it just shows up in your mouth and it could be true, it could be not true.
It's kind of what we teach here.
Yeah. And it was before Agape.
Yeah, you picked up on the fact that people are unconsciously and unwittingly just living out other people's opinions and points of view and superstitions. You know, and until you become conscious, till you wake up.
Yeah.
And say, that's not my thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't believe every thought that comes in your mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Fantastic. Let's go back just a little bit. You married this guy.
I sure did. Yeah.
And you have a kid.
And you actually married us.
I know.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember everything. Yeah. And so how long has it been now?
It'll be 10 years.
Woo!
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, it'll be 10 years.
It just seems like yesterday.
In April.
Wow.
And our son is 4, just turned 4.
What's his position in the show?
He's a EP, executive producer on the show, writes on the staff, keeps all the trains on the tracks, and is just, that's another thing that I learned through the process too, is when you have an opportunity for great partnership, take it. Just take it. You know, people can be so afraid, I think, of working with a spouse, or it's like, it works.
Yeah.
He gets you.
Yeah.
Let's
for
keep
you.
it moving.
He's for you. He's proud of you too. I wanted to go back to another point, because you're sitting with your grandmother and you have your mom and you're watching these programs and you're saying, I want something for a Black person. But then you chose to actually do this with BET. You had other offers, right?
I don't know. That's been said.
That's what I heard. Am I making that up?
What you're not making it up. I didn't get them, but
okay.
maybe there were other things that people had spoken about. But what BET did very lovingly was they came and said, we will give you a script to series deal if you do it here. And so what they actually did was they took it off the table before we had a formal pitching process.
I see.
So normally you take your little ideas and your images and you say, I have this idea and here's who I am. And you tell like some jokes and explain what the show is. And you go all around town.
Right.
And then maybe one or two
And they
people.
said no.
Well, I didn't even do that.
You didn't have to do
BET came and said, we'll take this off the market right now and we'll give you what's called a script to series deal, which means if we like the pilot, we're making the show. And that it happens more and more, but at that time it was a little more rare. And I had developed other places before and been through lengthy development processes. And I thought,
why not?
Why not go where the love is, where they're just kind of jumping right in front of it.
Right. Yeah, I was at that premiere.
You were?
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
I loved seeing the premiere, but the community that showed up.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen a lot of those people in years. I knew so many of those people, and then I knew a lot of them from Agape. But at Agape, you don't see everybody.
Right.
I mean, they see me, but I don't see them.
Right.
It was a sweet night. I just felt so proud of you.
Thank
Can
you.
I say that?
Yes. You know, it was a sweet night. That, and we also did a premiere in Detroit. And I mean, it was some of everybody there from my childhood. And yeah, it feels nice because I'm the community's.
Yeah.
I really am.
Yeah, you're a Detroit person.
Yeah.
Doe?
What up, Doe?
What up, Doe?
Yeah. That's another one.
I know.
Where does this come from?
Yeah, where does it come from?
I think it is.
What does it mean?
The etymology of the dough, I think, is though. Like, what up, though?
Oh, okay.
I think.
You think?
Yes. I think that's what it is. But
I have a friend from once I hung out with you a little bit.
Yeah.
And she's originally from Detroit.
Yeah.
I said I got her at another level again.
Your other friend?
Oh,
that's cool.
Oh, she's from Detroit. I got it.
Yeah. It's a special place.
Yeah.
And I think, people say write what you know. They don't often say as much write what you love. Because you might know something, but you don't want to be telling its story for 6 years or 6 seasons. I really love being from that place. It's just such an affirming place for a Black woman, for a Black kid. And so I wanted to show the city a lot of love and show people other aspects of it that they might not expect.
You put Detroit back on the map, kind of.
Well, me and Eminem.
And because you had Motown and Berry Gordy, and now you and Eminem.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Sweet. And now the Lions. The Lions are good.
Listen, I picked Lions 2 years ago.
Oh, what about this year?
Yeah, they might go to the Super Bowl.
I think they're going to go.
I mean, we're talking football now, guys, but we digress.
Okay.
But I like the coach. And there's an energy about him. Now, when they didn't win a couple of years ago, I woke up one day and said, Lions are going to the playoffs. I didn't know anything about the Lions. Nothing. I just said they're going to the playoffs. I feel it.
Wow.
So I've been kind of pulling for them because of what I heard.
Yes.
And you like the Lions because you're from Detroit.
Listen, I like Detroit. You know, and I'm so happy because my family, they're such hardcore Lions fans, and they've been brutalized for the last
years.
30 years or something.
Man.
It's like nobody has a good Thanksgiving because of this. Everybody's coming in like,
it's funny.
Oh man. So it's just nice. It's just nice that everybody's happy.
Yeah, because the last few years I've been pulling from a homie.
Oh.
Only because you know why? He stood up for Kaepernick.
Oh, okay.
Back in the day, he was the face of the league, and he came up and said, "This is wrong." I said, "Okay. I like this guy."
Yeah.
Kansas City. You're going to win next 2-3 years in a row.
Okay. Yes, we love Kaepernick.
Yeah. So beautiful. So other than this beautiful Diarra from Detroit, what's up? What's on your plate? I know that's probably taking you full time.
It's taking a lot of my mental power right now, but I also have a feature that I've written that we are producing. It's a reparations romantic comedy.
Reparations romantic comedy.
It was right there, those two things. You just had to put them together. So working on that and other things, Miles and I, my husband, we're gonna write some things together too. It's just it really works for our family, for us to kind of all be together.
That's a wonderful thing.
And we're going to write our children's book. Me and you.
Me and you, we're going to do it?
Big questions for little people.
Let's just do it.
Yeah, because my
you
son
heard it
is
right here. We're going to write a book called Big Questions for Little People.
My son needs to know where Bob Marley is in the world right now.
And we can break down the different worlds.
Yes. Okay. He's not ready.
No, but we'll break it down for little kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he closes his eyes, there's a different world that he goes into. Mm-hmm. It's a dream. Bob Marley's right there. Mm-hmm. We'll break it down. Mm-hmm. Just you wait.
Mm-hmm. With a sing-along album too.
Right. With a little Bob melodies.
Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit more about your spiritual practice.
So it's funny, I have seasons, and I just told my husband, like, it's time for a monk. It's time for me to get on my monk season, because I know what that means. That's when I'm going really deep. Mm-hmm. And it's usually right before I'm going to take some kind of surge forward. But that is usually, so first thing I do every morning is my gratitude. Mm-hmm. I have a gratitude text chain with a friend of mine. We've been on it for about maybe 6 or 7 years now.
Wow. So you text each other what you're
first thing in the morning. Mm-hmm. Yeah, first thing in the morning. And I love to see his list too, because I'm like, oh, right. No matter what you're going through, right. You're like, oh, right, water. Yeah, I'm going to take that one.
My heart is beating.
Yeah, I woke up in my right mind, as my mom used to say. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing. And then I like to do 15, 20 minutes of meditation in the morning. Mm-hmm. My affirmations are so big. Mm-hmm.
When you say big, you mean like long or a lot?
No, it's just a big practice for me.
So big. I got you.
It's big for me. It's my thing. Mm-hmm. I think my mom gave me affirmations before she taught me how to pray. So I think that was it's just instilled.
You've been imprinted.
Listen,
the good stuff.
I say, you know who my white grandmother is? Louise Hay.
Oh, she used to come to Agape.
Really?
Back in the day.
I probably would have broke down crying. My mother was always like, I'm like, I have a headache. She's like, go to the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm like, can I have some Advil? Go to the book. Say an affirmation. So my affirmations, love 40-day mind fast. So feast once. My friend Yvonne Orji actually has a book called Bamboozled by Jesus. Mm-hmm. The affirmations in the back of that one. Beautiful. So I do my affirmations, and then the standard ones, and then I usually have ones for the season. Mm-hmm. They often come up to me on new moons and full moons. So I do my sort of full moon or new moon ritual, and usually something comes up for me that maybe I want to let go of, or maybe I'm dealing with, and then the affirmation is sort of born from the recognition of that. Mm-hmm. So I'll do that. And then I'll do a devotional reading usually. Right now I'm on my Until Today. Mm-hmm. It was calling me back. So I came back to Ayanla Until Today. And then I have the cheat code right now.
The cheat code?
The cheat code. Uh-huh. My son is 4. Mm-hmm. He is pure joy. Uh-huh. By that time, he's normally sitting on my head or on my back,
While you're doing your work, your spiritual work.
Well, yeah. By that time, he's normally up, and he's just pure joy.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
it's all love,
relishing this time. Yeah. He's so happy and so just bright and alive. So that is contagious.
Are you coding him the way your mother coded you?
Yeah, we do our affirmations. I sent you that video that time when he told me, I'm not meditating, I'm doing my meditations.
Yes.
So, I try to let him in on it and what I'm doing, I'm doing my gratitude with Uncle Brian. And then what are you grateful for? And he'll give me a couple of things, and then he's off, and then he's back. So those are my big ones. Baths. Baths at night. I would be on a prescription, I think.
I love baths. I have my salts, I have my Epsom salts. I will go in and I'll get the insights, revelations. That's my thing.
I have the And my friend who is super deep into the Orishas was like, girl, them salts ain't doing nothing. But I have, I have.
They are doing something.
Oh, yeah, Oshun, Yemaya, depending on what I need.
Yeah.
I put them in my bath. Really connecting with female deities helped me go way deeper. So that, my baths, that's my Prozac.
Oh yeah, I love the bath. You sneak some of this into the program.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have little things in there.
Yeah.
The character.
Yes.
You bring it in.
Yes.
Yeah, I always love seeing that. It's like you're just sneaking in the spinach into the ice cream for the folks.
Well, the Louise Hay is for sure in danger and
yeah.
some of the characters.
Yeah. No, I saw all that.
Yeah.
I saw, look at this.
Yeah.
She's just putting it out there. Oh my God. So do you practice with your husband, with Miles?
We meditate together sometimes. Okay. I'm still, he always is like, you meditate too loud for me.
Too loud?
Reb.
Break that down. Meditate.
Let me tell you, the chemicalization is still very real for me.
So what happens?
I cry.
Oh, during your meditations.
I release a lot. And he's always like, I don't think we're going through the same thing. Like your meditation is a little loud for me. So I can release a lot. At first I wanted to understand it, and now I don't care. I think it's just, I'm an empath. I'm very sensitive. Yeah. I'm moving through the world also with other really sensitive artists a lot of times. And I walk this, I have to move back and forth between being in my open artistry and then going and sit down with business people and make them feel really comfortable about what we're doing, or selling myself as a creator or as someone who can manage a large amount of money and manage a big group of people. So there's a sort of opening and closing and opening and closing that I have to do. And I'm not that good at it. So sometimes I have to just let it out.
So what's your dominant being? You said, because you open and close, you're dealing with the business people, then you have this very creative side. You have the side that's deeply into your spiritual growth.
Yeah, I'm an artist.
Okay.
I'm an artist, and everything else has been because something whispered in my ear and said, well, then you need to write it. Well, then you need to produce it. Well, then, no. Don't give that job away because you know how this is supposed to go. Or you want to make sure that you're really serving your ideas or your audience. You know, I have a lot of respect for my audience.
Yes.
And I think sometimes when things are, well, I love that we're talking to this community because I'm a Black woman starring in a television show. A lot of times people think, oh, that must be for Black women. That's just for Black women because it's got a Black woman in the center.
Right.
And that's not necessarily true. I'll say it's especially for Black women. There'll be things in there that they'll laugh a different kind of recognition laughter.
It's a different code. Yeah.
But it's for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And we took great pains so that it did have the entertainment values that could appeal to everybody. To everybody. Yeah. And so I took a left turn. I'm like, where was I going with that?
Well, you went to
into the just about being a sensitive artist, maybe.
Yes.
But yeah, I was there was a connection to be made somewhere. But yeah, I'm an artist, and everything else is something that I have learned to put on.
Yeah. So you have different you have a constellation of different personalities, but your primary way of being in the world is I'm an artist.
Yeah.
And an artist uplifts, heals, inspires, transforms lives. But then you're also an actor, which is part of your artistry, because you carry an energy that's just very contagious. Wow. It's beautiful. And so do you sometimes, like you're going to go work with the business people now. Do you sometimes go in and act like a business person? Do you take that on?
No, and I think that's my problem is that's what I've had to learn is to have a different conversation because I would take my heart out and put it on the table.
Right.
It's like, no, baby, that's not necessary.
Yeah.
That doesn't move anyone also.
Because they're into dollars and cents.
Right.
Structure.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And so there's an integration. We're back to the first question you asked. What happened this year?
Mm-hmm.
There was a greater integration
Mm-hmm.
of the artist who doesn't even really want to deal with that.
Right.
And the person that's like, oh no, I guess I was meant to deal with that.
Right.
And I can take that on too.
Yeah. I can remember when I woke up spiritually, and I was way out here. I wasn't in this world for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to find my way to be in this world in order to do what I do.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I mimicked my dad. My dad was a probation officer that became an attorney that became a judge. So I basically got into, he wasn't a conservative person, but he was conservative as a judge. So I would get into that frequency in order to go into the world, because a lot of things I didn't care about in the world because I could see through them. So I ended up working for the mayor for 5 years. I ran a Census Bureau law. I did a lot of things in the world, stuff I would never want to do, but you got to pay the bills a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was able to take his energy, integrate it into me, but without losing my, my expanded consciousness. So I started buying shoes like him. These very conservative looking shoes and these suits.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's interesting. Yeah. I think I came in like, I'm still an artist, man. What's up?
Yeah.
And I'm learning, but that's really interesting. I think I tried. My dad is very, very funny, and even he worked in politics and all that. He always carried he could say the most inappropriate thing, and everyone will still laugh.
Right.
And I think it's different being a woman carrying that energy.
Yeah. So you're taking womanhood to another level. You're one of those people on the planet I'm talking about that's actually breaking the paradigm as to what a woman can be and do. Even your character.
Yes.
She's wild.
She's
courageous. Like
one of my favorite things is people are calling her like a Black Karen. That her whole thing that is actually revolutionary. That a Black woman is going, I want some answers, and I'm not going to stop until I get them. And that sort of Karen energy is kind of new for a Black woman. Yeah.
I never thought about it like Karen, but I think about it like it was like courageous and confident, and you were unrelenting. Yeah. And every time someone would try to tell you it's time to, step back a little bit, you'd pretend to step back and then go full force again.
Yeah. That's borrowed from me.
Yeah, I was going to say that's you.
Yeah.
That's the scrappiness as well that's coming forward.
And that's my mother too.
Yeah. God, I see her. That's beautiful. It's beautiful.
She would be very happy that we're here together today.
God, that's great. I remember you at a retreat standing up. I think I had said something about, you got a car or something. And you stood up and said, that message was for me, to buy your cousin a car. Do you remember that?
Oh, was it more my nephew?
A nephew.
Yeah.
I just see you because you stood up and you started speaking to me. But when you stood up, it had so much power. It was beautiful. Best leading actress in a drama for your work in Oya? Am I pronouncing that right?
Oh, yes. That's the red and brown water that we did at the fountain.
Yeah.
And that's what that is too. Oya is, the character was named after the goddess of like hurricanes and transformation.
Oh, the LA Weekly gave you this. Now, when you're doing these roles or writing, I mean, do you consciously, I know you're creative, but do you consciously like open yourself up and do a spiritual practice to let the energy or ideas come through, or is it just pop it out of you?
No, I have had to do more, also because I have to jump, especially being a mom, I have to try to jump into the flow faster, and I have to get out of it faster because I have to go home, have a kid. So yeah, when I write, I do a visualization that I developed of where is sort of this safe space, move into it. It's it's called the path to the golden tree, actually. Yeah. And then I take the walk down the tree. It's like moving into the zone, preparing myself to write, and then I'll write. Usually set a timer and try to do, 40 minutes or hours straight, and then get up and do something different.
So when you walk in this path to the golden tree, you're actually visualizing.
It's a visualization
process. Yeah. And at the end of this visualization, you're receiving a gift, you're receiving an idea, you're receiving...
No, it's just...
You're just seeing what you want.
I just see where I am, and then I'll just write from there.
Oh, I see. It puts you in this kind of a zone, and then you write from there. Oh, that's sweet. I like that. Yeah.
Because I was fighting. Like, I've got to get it. You know, I got to get in. And my therapist and I actually developed that together.
Yeah. So your whole spiritual practice is involved in everything you do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when I'm having trouble with something, that's when I need to figure out how my spiritual practice can be integrated in that.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's how I live. It's like if something's disturbing me, I just go in, get the feeling of the answer, then let that feeling guide me, show up.
It's funny. I remember that story that you've told about, I can't remember exactly what was happening, but you were like, I don't want to be that spiritual.
Oh, you know what it was? It was a deep chemicalization time. I woke up in such a funk of separation from the presence that I was totally human without my divine energy. I was just cut off. And I crawled into the place where I meditate. I mean, I'm physically, I'm really on my hands and knees crawling. And I had so much energy in me, like all the mistakes I'd ever made in life were just there. And something was being born in me, and my ego cried out, I don't want to be this spiritual. I don't want to go through this. And then everything got really quiet, and the light came, and it showed me what I was worried about was so small compared to the rest of my life. And it just popped out, and I was back to myself. But I wasn't the same person. I was back, but I was bigger. And I'll always remember that, since you brought that up, because that next week I went to do a guest speaking at another community. And I remember just sitting, waiting to speak. I had nothing prepared, but I had the energy. And I got up, and the spirit just rolled through me. And my ego said, wow, you've arrived like that. The next week it happened again. The sense of separation. I don't want to be this spiritual. Then I broke through. But then that energy compelled me it freed me from pre-planning. It's just like, the spirit will use me and all the knowledge and give me new knowledge to do what I have to do. But yeah, so how did you relate that to?
That's not how I remember it for some reason. For some reason, I remember maybe, I don't know, things were happening that were, maybe you just didn't want to be ostracized from the group or something and get too weird. But that too. But I remember I was having this conversation with my girlfriend sort of post-election.
This year?
And we were kind of having the same takeaway, like, girl, everything you've been doing is dabbling. Like, even though you're like, I've been in the meditation retreats, I've been doing this, I've been doing that. It's like, you need to get down with the shits, as we would say in Detroit. And that's why I told my husband, like, I think I'm approaching like a monk season. Like, it's like,
but you're you're right.
Something is saying, like, this is serious business, spiritual business. Now, everything that you thought was so deep and all the layers you thought you shed were so intense. Like, this is like, welcome to the entry point now. So that's what and then I remember when I had that thought, feeling like, I don't know if I want to be this spiritual. Like, I still want to have a common touch, which you have.
You don't lose that. But things do become more focused, but you don't lose yourself. I'm talking about, all the good stuff. You don't lose it, but the depth and the connection becomes very powerful.
Yeah.
And you like live in two worlds.
Yeah.
It's what happens. It's like there's the world as it appears to be that people are living in, then there's the real world. And the real world becomes more real to you, but you're able to live in this world, but you're actually living in this world.
And now we're getting to that. I don't want to be this spiritual, but I'll just say it. I've had that feeling for a really long time.
Yeah.
that I'm here, but I'm not here.
Yeah.
I'm actually like on this beach, this like rose quartz beach that I've seen before. And I'm like, I'm also there.
Yeah.
I'm here, but I'm also plugged in. Plugged in over there.
Yeah, but that's where you're getting your power from.
Yeah.
Yeah. And most people don't understand that.
Yeah, that's why I was like, you just said that out loud.
Yeah. So I get to say that on a regular basis now. But go back years ago, I was the weird one.
Mm-hmm.
I was the weird dude.
Yeah.
You know, because all this stuff wasn't really real.
Right.
So I had to learn how to be here. And now I get to just be me.
Yeah.
And if you don't dig it, it's okay with me.
Yeah.
I can't unsee what I've seen.
Right.
I can't lie.
Right.
You know, there's another world. This is not it.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I know.
Yeah. But you know, artists and spiritual teachers, musicians, shamans, they are the ones who are holding the world together. Because they go to the other world and bring back the energy.
Yeah.
It happens through comedy. It happens through drama. It happens through music, choreography, song, architecture. You know, all these ways, they're actually bringing the frequency into this world. It's like a Trojan horse. It's like we're sneaking it in through comedy, but this is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you're anointed in that way. That's what it is. That's what I wanted to tell you. When I would see you at the retreats and you would stand up and speak, I could see your anointing. That's what it was. You were just shining. I could see it. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I wish you had told me that.
Yeah.
At that time, I was really struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the deal. It's like there's a struggle, but it doesn't touch the real you. You know, that sucker is going to shine, and now it's shining more. It's going to, yeah. These last 2 years of your life, this next 3, 5 is going to be really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you said when the very last time we did a retreat, and I told you the idea, you did say, "Ooh, I'm tingling."
Yeah.
It's going to come together.
Yeah.
And I held on to that. Yeah. Even I was like, well,
I
Reverend Michael tingled when I told him the idea.
I could see it.
So listen, guys.
I was trying to get I was just trying to get it together, how you were going to do it. And you did it. That's why I was like beaming when I saw it. It was like, she actually did the thing. She did the thing.
Yeah.
Did people call you courageous going through this?
People have called me courageous and fearless for a long time, which was always interesting to me because I was always like looking behind me, like, who are they talking about? But yeah, I've gotten that feedback. I think when I made American Koko, people were like, whoa, I can't believe you said some of those things out loud. And for me, it was really...
Yeah, you are on the edge all the time. It's beautiful to watch.
Thanks.
Hey, everybody, this is Diarra Kilpatrick. She's got a husband named Miles. What's your son's name again?
Woodson.
That's right, Woodson.
Yeah.
He's great. Now, what I want you to do, if you haven't seen Diarra from Detroit yet, you got to see it. See it before the next season comes out. And you will see springing out of her this beautiful energy in that character. You'll see her spiritual being shine through. It will inspire, it'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry. It's good stuff.
Oh, one thing that you asked me about, this play, which was many years ago that I did, the red and brown water.
Oh, yeah.
I was in Agape. I was praying and saying to myself, I want a great role. I want a role that's like nothing I've ever done before, that takes me to the top of my ability level. I want a great play. And that's what this play is. It's like King Lear for a 20-year-old Black girl. You know, it's a play and a half.
Yeah.
She goes all the way.
Can people still see
around.
that somewhere?
No, it's
Is
a
it
play.
on YouTube or anything?
No, it's ephemeral. It's gone. And I opened my eyes at Agape on Buckingham, and Erin Anova, I don't know if you know her, Agape member, was standing behind me, and she said, "Hey, I want you to audition for a play." And it was the Red and Brown Water.
Really?
Yes.
And did she know who you were and what you did?
She had seen me in a play, but I hadn't done one in a while, and but I was saying, I don't want just a play, like I want an opus, like I want something I can really stick my teeth into, and that's what that play became. And that play ran for maybe 6 months or something, and a lot of awards, and
wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, it was really cool moment.
Anything else you want to tell these people about anything?
I think just for the creatives, man.
Yeah, talk to them.
We need you. And I know there's a narrative going around right now in the entertainment industry that I won't even use any of the words that everyone's using over and over again to talk about what's happening in our industry. But I know there's a lot of fear. I think we need you. I don't want anyone to be discouraged from what they're reading about is happening in the industry. We need you. Do your abundance. Do all of your abundance work. I remember driving to work from my apartment in Koreatown, and the whole way there, which was like 45 minutes, I was like, I am in a field of plenitude. I can't get away from my plenitude. I am abundant. Like for 45 minutes, I like worked myself up into a frenzy without, I didn't have any, my tires were bald. There was no, but just work yourself up into a frenzy. You're needed. You're necessary. Lean on your art and bring it forward however you can.
That's it. Work yourself into a spiritual frenzy. Have great talk to and about yourself. Speak it into the universal law and watch it manifest. She's a shining example of that. Thank you for being with me today.
Thank you for having me.
This is one other thing. I know what you're going to say, but when you're in a snit again, what's your
snit?
You've lost your way temporarily, emotionally, mentally, whatever. How do you get back? How do you take back your mind?
I always go back to a devotional. There's something about the good student in me that if it's like every day, I know I have to complete this thing. 40-day mind fast, Sophie's is a really good one. And I've probably given away 10 copies.
It's going to be reprinted.
Oh,
it's going to be a little bit, I'm adding some more stuff to it, but yeah.
Yeah. A daily devotional is really, really good for me. Also, the company you keep.
There you go.
The company you keep. I think usually if you're kind of in a chronic issue, you probably need to move away or towards someone else. And so that kind of thing, being around people that are like, let's get up and walk Runyon every day. Let's text each other our gratitude chain. I think those are the big things, leaning on community and coming back to something every single day. And my other white grandmother, Abraham Hicks. And what's great about Abraham Hicks, if you have kids, there's a bunch of YouTube videos of her talking, but they've put a cartoon of her.
I saw it.
So my son will sit there and actually watch it for like 10 minutes before he realizes this is not...
It's not a regular cartoon.
This is not Paw Patrol. But because she's in a cartoon, he'll actually give me like 10, 15 minutes to watch one of her talks. But she always, because hers is really simple.
Yeah.
Hers is very clean and clear.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had her speak at a Revelation conference. We went to dinner one night, me and some cousins and some people, and I'm sitting next to her and we're having a great conversation. And then my cousin asked, can Abraham answer some questions? And she said, well, I generally don't do that in small groups like this, but because it's Michael Beckwith, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So, she did something like this. Abraham.
Oh, for real?
Oh, yeah, for real.
Oh, wow.
My energy went like that. So everybody went around and asked Abraham a question, but when it came to me, I was in answer land. I didn't have any questions. And then so Abraham said, oh, Michael draws his information from the same place we do. He's here with us now.
Oh.
I had no questions because when she got activated, it took me to the place where I would be speaking from. So I didn't have any questions.
Interesting.
Yeah. I said, oh, she is real.
Yeah, that's what asking it is given. I don't care if you believe it or not.
Yeah.
Read that book.
Yeah.
That's required reading for every artist, for sure.
She's really activated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Here's another goodbye.
Bye again.
We'll see you later. This is Diarra Kilpatrick. Watch the series, Diarra from Detroit. You're going to love it. And obviously, underneath all of that is an individual that has a deep spiritual practice that's augmented by her grandmother, her mother, the ancestors. You know what to do now, right? Yeah? You know what to do, right? Okay. Peace and blessings, everyone.
Thank you.
Peace and blessings. I truly hope that you are enjoying Take Back Your Mind podcast. The Take Back Your Mind podcast is sponsored primarily by the Agape International Spiritual Center. In other words, everything that you see in terms of the staff that puts this together, the editing, the equipment, all of this is sponsored by our Agape International Spiritual Center. So if you are enjoying the podcast, I'm inviting you to support the sponsor. Support Agape. Simply go to agapelive.com and make a donation. And say in the donation that you are supporting the podcast. It allows us to keep broadcasting. It allows us to keep putting these magnificent moments together with these wonderful people that I get to interview. We keep having the possibility of updating the equipment that's necessary and providing the wonderful content that many of you are writing in and saying, I really love the podcast. Support the podcast. Support the sponsor. Agape International Spiritual Center. agapelive.com. You can also text to donate. You can text the word give to 424-321-6243 and put podcast so that we know that you're really supporting this wonderful podcast. Our secondary sponsor is Adaptozen, Adaptozen. This is my superfood greens. It's nutritionally dense because I teach spirit, mind, and body. We want our body temples to be healthy. So one of the products is my superfood greens. You can go to NutraRise.com. Those three little lines you see, you hit those three little lines and you'll see Adaptozen. There's two products, my superfood greens and a product called Elevate, which are organic mushrooms for your health. You can put both in your smoothies so that you have main ingredients for the health of your body temple. These are our sponsors. Primary sponsor, Agape International Spiritual Center. Secondary sponsor, Adaptozen. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be wise. Circulate and share. Peace and blessings. Peace and riches, blessings, and of course, this is our moment of a brief practice of meditation. You hear me say from time to time that I love life, that life is good. I'm loving my life. You know what that comes from? The insights that I have had in exploring my real nature, my real being, and being able to maintain that, and even go wider in that through the practice of meditation. That's one thing that I do every day, is to meditate. Sometimes contemplation, sometimes introspection, sometimes mindfulness, but always some level of meditation that I practice. I invite you to give yourself permission to have a sincere practice of meditation, and don't get nervous about, I can't sit for an hour or 2 hours. Just begin. A few minutes every day until layers of separation between you and the divine begin to peel away. You have tremendous insights into your real nature and being, and then you're able to bring that into the world. Meditation, man. Turn within with me for a moment. Put a smile on your face that you get to have this opportunity to meditate. You get to do this. And whether you are a veteran to meditation or whether you are a newbie, We enter into this space as a first-timer, a beginner's mind, as if we've never practiced before. We establish an inner intentionality to wake up from the intoxicated sleep of separation, to wake up to our glorious nature. That's what we're intending to do right now. We're saying in substance, I'm waking up to my glorious nature. Now without ears and without eyes, with the eye beyond the eye, the ear beyond the ear, see and hear the vibrational frequency of a broadcast from the eternal presence that's perennial, it's always happening. Let there be light, let there be life everywhere. Catch that broadcast. Obtain it in consciousness. Be still. The mind has drifted, it's okay. Bring your awareness back to that sacred breath, the dynamic intention to wake up and begin again. Be still and know. We give thanks for this pause that refreshes, the true pause that refreshes. Pausing from going into the future or retreating to the past, but coming right here and right now. The deep sense of gratitude and thanksgiving and appreciation. We give thanks for these precious moments and the ramification of these precious moments that will infuse our life with more life. We give thanks for this and allow it to be so. And so it is. Amen. Thank you so much for tuning in and being turned on by the Spirit of the Living One within you. Have a beautiful and bright day. Your time is very valuable, so I want to thank you for lending us your ear and participating in taking back your mind. If you want to submit a question for the question of the week, please submit it to podcast@michaelbeckwith.com. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, please submit a review and let us know your thoughts. Stay on top of current episodes by subscribing to the podcast so that you'll receive alerts and not miss one single episode. And feel free to share this podcast with all of your friends and family. And until we meet again, take back your mind, and you will take back your life. Peace and blessings.